Jaunty Adventures, where we talk about the cuter, cozier, and retro sides of gaming. Today, I've got a little device that neatly encapsulates all these things. It is the Nintendo 3DS. For those of you who haven't seen my first video on it, up here somewhere, I got this last year, right after Christmas, when I realized, kind of late, that actually I really wanted one. So that was back when it was first kind of becoming more of a retro system and less of the current Nintendo system. So prices were pretty cheap, but beginning to pick up as it had just left production, and I was able to snag this one for about $120, and with a couple of games, so that was last year. It's totally fine if you haven't seen my first video of my first few months and what I was excited about, because I'm going to recap it all here today, not entirely just because I don't quite remember exactly what games I already covered. So to start with, I just want to highlight these. This is actually a sticker from Sticky Bunny and also a Beanie Baby Snail from an awesome Etsy seller who I will link down below. The Sticky Bunny skin has really held up well, and I've been very impressed with it. It's tearing a little bit at the edges where I've got the hard plastic case kind of on it, but otherwise it's really holding up well. And I think it looks great. It adds a lot of custom to what had been just sort of a boring plain black 3DS. So that's about it as far as accessories I ended up buying. I did look into some cases and things like that, but a lot of the ones with the more cute aesthetic were Japan only and are now just so expensive. It was ridiculous, so I've just got this and a little pack of extra styluses that I'm very quickly losing because I cannot keep a stylus. Again, this was mine from back in high school. It is Blanca the cat from April Fool's Day. I don't remember if New Horizons got Blanca, but I did see her in New Leaf, which was very exciting. So, the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, going to be the elephant in the room for any retro content right now, which is the prices. A commenter on one of my past videos pointed out this has been the year of resellers ruining everything, and I can't help but notice that that probably is the case for the 3DS. I had a couple of games that I set out at the beginning of getting this. I had a little want list, so I was slowly working down. I was still on unemployment at the time. I had a little bit of extra money, but not much, and was just trying to get a couple of the games that I'd missed for cheap prices before they started going up in value, and I did not do that fast enough, because often, as soon as I set my sights on it, they would double or triple in value. The most notable example, and I think a microcosm of everything that's going on in the 3DS world right now, would be Oasis. Oasis I tried to buy on Mercari, which is where I do most of my shopping, because it's just simpler for me. So I tried to get this game quite a while ago, and it was going for about $24. I ordered it, and ended up never showing up. The post office says the shipper never shipped it. The seller said that it got lost in the mail. I don't know what happened, but I ended up never receiving it, and by the time I wanted this copy, it had gone up to more like $50, and it was maybe a month or two, and I eventually found this one. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but more like $30, $35, which I thought was reasonable. This is definitely a favorite of mine that I've tried on the 3DS so far. I know it's one of the late era games from when the Switch was already out, which is something I'm trying to grab as fast as I can since they all underperformed and are all pretty impressive, but this is one that I really liked and I think can transition nicely into some of the games that I bought. Oasis is one of the ones that I especially wanted to try out because it is such a cutie. It's definitely one that deserves a Switch port, and it never really uses the touchscreen all that much anyway, so I think it'd be a really great addition. In this game, you find yourself having to start your own oasis and gain residents, build shops, and do some town management that is complemented by a bunch of dungeon crawling and exploring of like a kind of various overworlds and doing a lot of different quests and kind of fetch quests and things like that. It was one of those games where I was like, oh, alright, this is okay. And then spent like 55 hours on deciding that I needed to complete it instead of just play it. It's really got a great gameplay loop, the animation is really cute, and the storyline can get a lot darker than you expect it to for such a cutesy brightly colored game. I thought it was really, really fun and definitely one worth checking out if you've just gotten a 3DS. A lot of the games that I've been playing on the 3DS, which I will cover more when I talk about its retro content, have been 2D games and especially pixel art games. So one of my favorites right now is Bit Trip Saga. I know that this was a set of Wii games. I have one of them on the Switch as well. Kind of a classic of the early indie stuff. But I love looking at it in 3D. I can't play it in 3D for very long. It starts to kind of trip me out, and it's really hard to like see what's going on after a while. But the effect is really, really cool in this kind of minimalist pixel. I was about to say minimalist maximalist. It's a game that has like a lot of color and a lot of detail while still trying to look like an old Atari game. It's really, really cool. If you have a 3DS, it was going pretty cheap. I think this is one I even got new still off Amazon. And the 3D effects are really cool, and it's just a really fun collection of these games and definitely worth your time. Continuing on the theme of pixel art games is going to be Shovel Knight. My absolute favorite thing about this Shovel Knight pack, I spent a lot of time deciding. I knew I wanted to play Shovel Knight, I was pretty sure I'd like it, and I spent a long time picking out which copy I wanted, if I wanted it on the Switch, if I wanted it on the 3DS. And what sold me on this one being the cutest, not just that the 3D effects look really good, honestly. I just love something about pixel art and the 3D on the 3DS has just been like, so good. But it comes with an old school, like, it looks so much like a Game Boy Color manual. And it almost doubles as a cute little extra art book. See, it's got all of the instructions right here. And the moveset. Like a little horse guy. It's just so cute. It's a really good quality little booklet, super retro. I really would love to see this in more Switch games, especially by bigger releases because I think they're so fun. The game that I thought most needed it on Switch, honestly, was some of the fighters. I love having the little, the moveset so you can just set it out on the coffee table in front of you instead of having to write it all down. So, so cute. Such a cute copy of Shovel Knight. I do like Shovel Knight. I haven't completed it in any way, but it's been a lot of fun. It's one of the ones I've spent the longest time on my 3DS, and I've also loved its sequel on the Switch that I may or may not be doing a video about, because it is fun as well. Game that came with mine, and continuing kind of the theme of ending up using my 3DS as a bit of a retro system for me, is going to be this great remaster of Ocarina of Time. My thing about the Zelda games is I tend to play them about a third of the way through and then be satisfied. No different here, but a really great remaster. Really like this game. Absolutely worth anyone's time. Must get for the system. I've got Pokemon Moon. I tried to do a Nuzlocke and discovered I am far too sensitive, and the moment that my cutest Pokemon took a tumble, I turned it off and never went back. So apparently I can't deal with the Nuzlocke. Don't know that much about Moon still. I grabbed Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, and I have not played it, so there you go. This one I just had the amiibo. I didn't even have the system when I got it, and I've barely played it, because Got the Was trashed it just so thoroughly I can't really look at it the same way, you know? I have 2 copies of Yokai Watch, because this one was still at the Five Below in a suburb south of my town. For like $3 sealed. So it's just hanging out sealed. I already had a copy from Pawn Store, so sealed copy of the first Yokai Watch. The later Yokai Watch are definitely ones that I want to grab for my collection because I think I do eventually want to play them, and I think they're going to increase in value a lot since they start getting more and more technically advanced and didn't sell quite as well as the first one. Speaking of games I was too sensitive to play, we've got Monster Hunter Generations. I killed one dinosaur and got upset, okay? We've talked about this. I've talked about that before on my channel, so I won't really dwell on it. And here's another great pixel art game. This one's not in 3D. Ultimate NES Remix. This one's especially fun because you can play, if you have any holes in what you've played in your NES games, you can try them out in little bites and see if there's something that you really like. And if you want to buy them like on an emulator, or if you have an NES, which I do, that's another video. That's gonna be a later subscriber special, because It has a very special place in my heart. So like and subscribe if you want to end up seeing my NES collection video. Uh, so if you have an NES or if you want to grab some of the great NES emulation on 3DS and want to try out a bunch of them in new and interesting ways and for not very much money, highly recommend this. It was fun. And yeah, you just play little miniature versions of all the NES games, and occasionally they're even like mixed together. It's interesting. It's not as good as I hoped it would be, but it is fun. Then, of course, you have to have the Animal Crossing games. I do have both the Welcome Amiibo edition of New Leaf and the Happy Home Designer, and these did come, or I guess just Happy Home Designer. I did buy sealed to make sure it had its amiibo card with it, so I can summon Cap'n in these and the Switch games, which is pretty fun. They're great games. I ended up getting back into New Horizons and the Home Designer sequel on Switch. Video up here. I kind of put these down for a while, but they're really great. Definitely ones I'm happy to have in my collection. And last but not least, the hardest one to get after inflating prices, and the one that's been kind of on my list as I sought it for under $85 is, of course, Kirby Planet Robobot. Kirby Planet Robobot is just as fun as everybody says. It's got a reputation for being the best Kirby game, and yeah, the level design is great. I love Kirby. Love, love, love Kirby. Definitely going to be picking up the new game coming out next month. The Kirby adventure game on N64 was always one of my favorites. It's like one of the OG cozy games that I could just throw on and like hang out in a low stress environment in some really cute worlds. So I've been having a lot of fun going through Kirby Planet Robobot. This one and Ever Oasis are ones I did get a job this year, and kept that job for a whole 3 months. Look at me go. Spoiler alert if my job's watching this. I'm quitting Monday. I have a new job. I'm not just quitting. Yes. So I have had a job, especially in the warmer months. The 3DS ended up getting a really special place in my heart because it was the most portable system I have. I love the Switch, but it's expensive, especially because the Pikachu and Eevee Switch is going up in value right now, so it makes me worried about it getting stolen out of my only kind of secure locker. And it's also just bigger and heavier and needs like a full case to protect its screen, whereas I've just been tossing this cutie right in my bag. And I was playing Ever Oasis, especially at the bus stop or on the bus when it was a little warmer and I didn't need to wear gloves. And I can play it on my breaks. A whole bunch of the games are designed to be pick up and go, which is why I haven't made my way through Kirby Planet Robobot that much. So that has ended up being really, really great. If you're on the fence about getting a 3DS and you do any kind of like bus commute or have a job where you have to figure out what to do in the break room, I highly recommend this. It's been really great, and my bus commute's about to get a little bit longer for a few months before I move closer to my new job, and I suspect this guy is going to see a lot of play and continue to be a really exciting part of my gaming life. And that does bring me to, oh, and this of course is the most important update in this video, but I got exactly in a year, after kind of falling off taking it with me every day, I got, drumroll please, 1 Street Pass! So, I think that's such a cool feature. I love all the portable features on this system, unfortunately. Not a lot of people out there playing it, so many thanks to the single person who Street Passed me, and I did get to see a couple of the features, but not something I get to get a lot of use out of, unfortunately. And I also got over a little bit of my obsession with all of the cute themes on the 3DS eventually. I've just left it on this Animal Crossing theme that matches my skin absolutely perfectly. So, oh, and I'm gonna toss the designer of this sticker and all of these cuties except this one that I got cheap off Amazon. I'm gonna make sure those are linked below because they're independent sticker designers and the stickers are so cute, so I want you guys to be able to support them if any of this speaks to you. Especially, come on, look at him. And now for our last segment that I've got this in let's talk about the Virtual Console. I'm shooting this the day after they announced that you can now play Earthbound on the Switch, which is awesome, and definitely how I would rather play it than kind of on this portable system. But I have had Earthbound on the Virtual Console since a couple days after I bought this, just to make sure I would eventually be able to play this game with like all the hype and no way to play it. Other games that I love having access to is Pokemon Crystal on this awesome Game Boy emulator. I love their Game Boy emulation, especially since I figured out it doesn't default to native pixel mode, so you just hold down select and it brings up a really cool native pixel mode where you get to play within a border of a Game Boy, and you can even turn the 3D all the way up and be able to see it with a little bit of the depth like the original Game Boys would have had in the Game Boy Color. So as far as Game Boy games, I've got Crystal, Kirby's Dream Land 2, which is my actual first Game Boy game. I don't know, I must be alone. Game Boy Game Boy Pocket was my first system, and I bought it and Kirby's Dream Land 2 with my Christmas money when I was about 7. So that would have been right before the Pokemon games came out, and was officially my first ever game. So Kirby's got a special little place in my heart, which is also why I got, oh my god, this fantastic remaster of Kirby's Adventure. Nintendo Life did a series that really turned me on to this 3D Classics line, and it is fantastic. They're all built from the ground up to be like really compatible with 3D, which again, I really like. I think it's really cool with pixel art in general. It gives it almost an HD pixel look, that HD 2D. It makes it almost all HD 2D, which I think is so rad, but this is just a great rebuild of Kirby's Adventure. It plays really well. The colors are bright and vibrant and made completely to be compatible with this screen, and just so good. I love the Kirby's Adventure on there. I've put a bunch of times, so I also went ahead and grabbed Kid Icarus, and I think I'm going to grab Excite Bike. Those aren't games I like as well, but you can't beat just picking up and playing a little bit of just absolutely gorgeous 3D remasters for old NES games. That's just so cool, and something I wish they did a little bit more of on the Switch, honestly. As far as hidden gems, which again, thank you to Nintendo Life for showing me this as well, the Mysterious Murasami Castle. It's a really cool game. It was Japanese exclusive, and it's built on the Zelda engine from the original Zelda game on NES. But instead of having an exploration focus, it has a fight focus. So it's got all this combat, and you explore a haunted castle as a samurai and fight other samurai. And it's cool, it's fun. It's, of course, an NES game. It's hard as nails, a little bit frustrating, and just really great, and just something really cool to be able to try out for the first time and not have to spend a small fortune on. Oh, and I forgot to say, I also have Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, the Game Boy Color version of the one that I played growing up on the N64, and it's really fun. It's got all the like golden crystal sound effects and pixels, and it's just fun. I like it. That's one of those really relaxing childhood games for me, so A+. As far as other games, I also have been trying to grab a bunch of the hidden gem. I just love that they have Game Boy Color emulator again. I forgot a couple of Game Boy Color games in that list. I don't think it's a big deal to be a little disorganized. I went ahead and grabbed Donkey Kong, the one that people refer to as Donkey Kong 1994, which is almost like if instead of the Mario games focusing on Mario, they decided to do NES games about Donkey Kong and really filling out all the levels from the original arcade game and giving them more depth and more like designs. It's really fun. I've made my way about halfway through it so far. I should be playing more, but I'll go back to it eventually. It's really good. Definitely one you want to make sure to grab before the Virtual Console goes offline eventually. One that I've heard a lot of buzz about and is still sitting in my to-play pile is Wario Land 3. I'm actually all of these games kind of in order. That's why I've stalled out. So I've got Super Mario Land 2, which is a sequel to Super Mario Land. It's on the Super Nintendo, and it's a really great Game Boy Color game, and it is the introduction of Wario, and so then it goes into all of the Wario lands. The most I've heard buzz about is 3, but I want to get more of them. Another really well represented series on the Game Boy 3DS is Shantae. For those of you who don't know about Shantae, which is another one I always hear other YouTubers talk about and have been really excited to get to try for myself, Shantae is one of the original indie series in that they even managed to get a cartridge published back on Game Boy Color as an independent producer. While it didn't sell that well, it began to get a cult following as one of the best Game Boy games ever made and really pushing the system. Then it came out with more Game Boy Advance games and really took off in popularity in the 3DS era since it could start doing things for the eShop. I've always been really interested in this kind of legendary Game Boy Color game. It's another one like Earthbound that I always heard really great things about, but it wasn't accessible to me at all. So I'm definitely excited to try it out. And then, of course, I've got both Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX and the Oracle games on here. They're ones I'm playing around with a video about 2D Zelda likes, so I wanted to make sure to grab all of those. It's really cool that I can play them in one place. I've played a little bit of A Link to the Past on the Switch, and then it's really cool to be able to play some of the portable games. Honestly, I'm gonna remaster of Link's Awakening, which is a game I've played in its original form a long time ago. I thought about picking up the remaster, or if I wanted to get the original and play it on 3DS, and the price was totally what sold me. I didn't think that I was that interested in either. I was more interested in re-exploring a game I'd played than playing the remaster, but mostly one was $6 and one was $60, so I bought the $6 version on a whim. So that brings us to final impressions. I have had it for about a year and have been really shocked at how quickly the prices are going up. I think this system is starting to I think the system's really beginning to have its day in the sun. It's beginning to go out of being just the last generation and become more of something that people appreciate as what it was in kind of record time. I think perhaps because the Wii U, its sister console, did so badly, it makes the 3DS very appealing, but also because it's the last exclusively portable system that Nintendo seems to be interested in putting out. It is the system that had to be portable in a phone gaming age, and just really an end of an era kind of system, and I think that people are interested in that, interested in the final 3DS, or, of the DSs and the Game Boys, and it's just so different from the Switch that it's easy to see why it's not falling out of favor right now. As I said, it has a completely different place in my gaming life. I normally play my Switch around the house or with friends if I'm bringing it over, as opposed to keeping the 3DS on me more often and just playing on the bus or while I'm waiting for someone to meet me for dinner or all that kind of stuff where I might also take a book. It's definitely a good time to get into the collection. I think some of these games are going to start shooting up in price even more, like we've seen with Kirby Planet Robobot, and that was even before the prices. I'm glad. And remember that I got Kirby Planet Robobot a few weeks before the new Kirby game was announced, so I haven't checked the prices since then. I'm sure they're insane. This is a system with a lot of games that precede games that Nintendo's bringing out now, like Metroid, Kirby, Mario, all of those. It's just a really interesting part of Nintendo's history and gaming history in general, and I think we're gonna see a lot more popularity of all of those things as gaming grows as a medium, as retro collecting becomes more and more of a hobby, And as people really begin to see the 3DS's good qualities as the Switch gets older and a little bit less novel and a little bit less exciting. So 3DS, seriously, a great system. I've had a great time collecting it this year. A little disappointed I didn't get in when the games were cheaper and I could have grown my collection a little bit faster, but the awesome selection of Virtual Console and especially Virtual Console of portable games, something I don't see nearly enough of, has more than made up for some of the prices for the physical games. Do also keep in mind that its store is still online, so if you wanted to download, say, Kirby Planet Robobot, you could get it for $40 no matter how much the price increases for a physical game, and that goes for a lot of these games. I really wanted to do a physical collection because I love the look of these games and because I'm right now getting into it more as a collection than just as a system that I'm having fun with. That's more of the Switch. However, if that's not something you care about, collecting all of these right now while the virtual store is still up and active on the 3DS would be a great option for anybody who wants to quickly and easily get to play some of these classic games without any risk of inflation. So let me know in the comments, do you have a 3DS? Are you thinking of getting one? What games should I try and grab real fast before they inflate? You guys had some really great comments on my last video. I learned a lot about what games I might want to consider in the future, and I have considered buying a bunch of them, which then all went way up in price. So thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe to this video if you want any more cuter, more retro style games or videos to watch in the future, because I've got a lot of great stuff planned for this year coming up as I begin to stabilize in my work life and be able to give more content out to you guys. So thank you so much for sticking with this video, and I will see you in the next one.